He begged me to forgive him after his confession. He's sober now, a new man. I stayed silent, letting him believe our marriage was saved. He never saw it coming. When the movers arrived, the shock on his face was priceless. His confession wasn't the end of his lies. It was the beginning of my truth. The whole thing started with a notification on my phone. It was 3 years ago. I was on a break during my night shift, scrolling through nonsense to stay awake, when the doorbell cam app lit up my screen. Motion detected at your front door. It was just after midnight. My first thought was, who the hell is at our door at this hour? I figured it was a raccoon or something. I tapped it open. The video feed was grainy, washed out in the black and white of night vision. But the image was perfectly clear. It was a woman. I'd never seen her before. She was just standing there on our porch, looking at the door. Not knocking, just waiting. Then, the porch light flickered on as our front door opened from the inside. My husband, in a t-shirt and sweats, leaned out and let her in. The door clicked shut, and the video ended. My brain just stalled, trying to process the information. Who was she? Why was he letting a strange woman into our house in the middle of the night while our kids were asleep upstairs? My first instinct was pure adrenaline. I wanted to call him right then and there, my voice shaking, and demand to know what was going on. But I stopped myself. I pictured the conversation. Head, have a story ready. Head, be calm. Head, make me sound like the crazy one for calling in a panic from work. I realized I needed more than a grainy video. I needed to see his face when I asked him about it. When I got home the next morning, the house was silent. The air felt stale. There was an extra coffee mug in the sink that wasn't mine. I waited until he was up and making his own coffee before I said anything. I kept my voice level, casual. Hey, I got a doorbell notification last night. Looked like someone stopped by. He didn't even look up from the coffee pot. Oh, yeah. A few people from work came by for a bit. At midnight, I asked, my voice a little tighter than I wanted. While the kids were asleep. That's when he finally turned to look at me. And his expression wasn't guilty or apologetic. It was annoyed. Jesus. Relax. We were quiet. It's not like we were throwing a rager. They were just hanging out. He named a few people, including the woman from the video, and said they were all just friends. The words were plausible. The delivery was not. It was defensive. Dismissive. He was already treating my question like an accusation. I could feel my stomach twisting into a knot. And in that moment, I realized the problem wasn't just the late-night guest. The problem was his reaction. He wasn't trying to reassure me. He was trying to shut me down. He was painting a picture where I was the paranoid, controlling wife, and he was the innocent guy just trying to have a life. My gut was screaming that this was a lie. A big one. But his story was just plausible enough to make me doubt myself. I dropped it for the moment. But the trust in our marriage, which I thought was a solid foundation, suddenly felt like it had a hairline crack running right through it. I spent the rest of the day feeling like I was going crazy. Has anyone else been in that position? Where your gut is telling you one thing, but your partner is making you feel like you're insane for even asking the question. The uneasy truce in our house lasted a few months. I was on high alert. But with no more late-night visitors, I started to second-guess myself again. Maybe I had overreacted. Then, one afternoon, I walked past his laptop on the kitchen counter. Had left his Facebook page open. A chat window was minimized at the bottom of the screen. Her name was next to a little green dot. I didn't even think. My hand just moved on its own, clicking the window open. And there it was. Her last message to him. Sent the day before. Can't wait to have you all to myself again. It wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't friendly. My heart started hammering against my ribs. A sick, frantic rhythm. My vision narrowed until the only things I could see were those words on the screen. He hadn't just lied. He had meticulously managed a lie for months, making me feel crazy in the process. My first thought wasn't to cry. It was ice-cold rage. My brain went into a strange, methodical mode. This is it. This is the proof. There is no plausible deniability here. My next move had to be final. When he got home from work, I didn't say a word. I just pointed to the laptop. He followed my gaze, saw the open chat, and the color drained from his face. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Explain it, I said. My voice was dangerously calm. He started stammering. The classic "it's not what it looks like" nonsense. But the evidence was right there, glowing on the screen. I just shook my head. "I'm done. I want you to pack a bag and leave." That's when he broke. Not just crying, but a full-body, gut-wrenching collapse. He slid out of his chair and onto the kitchen floor, burying his head in his hands, making these awful, broken sounds. He begged. He pleaded. He swore he would do anything. "Please," he sobbed. "Let's just try counseling. Before you throw everything away. Just give us that one chance." My mind was a war zone. One side was screaming, "He's a liar. This is just another manipulation. Get him out." But the other side, the part that still remembered the man I married and loved our family, saw a concrete offer. Counseling was a real step. Rejecting it felt like it'd be the one giving up. So I made a decision that would define the next year of my life. I agreed. Counseling was sterile. We sat on a beige sofa once a week while he talked about communication issues and feeling disconnected. He was a great performer. He used all the right therapy speak. But at home, things got worse. The drinking, which had been a weekend thing, became a nightly event. I'd find empty bottles hidden in the garage. He'd come home from working late with glassy eyes and the faint smell of whiskey on his breath. Money started disappearing from our account. He was there physically, sitting on the couch in that therapy office. But he was gone. He was disappearing into a fog of booze and drugs. And I was completely alone in a marriage that felt like a stage play. I realized then that we weren't fixing anything. We were just going through the motions. The counseling was a stall tactic. A smokescreen to hide the fact that he was spiraling. And the lie was just a symptom of a much deeper disease. I felt like such a fool for staying. Was I just enabling him at that point? For anyone who's tried to fix a marriage when addiction is in the picture, how do you know when you're helping versus when you're just a spectator to a slow-motion car crash? It's jarring how much things can change. For the last 6 months, I've been living with a man I barely recognize. The slurred words and bloodshot eyes are gone. He doesn't disappear for hours anymore. He's just here. He's on the floor building Lego towers with our son. He helps our daughter with her math homework. Patient and focused. The house is quiet in a peaceful way. Not a tense one. He started individual therapy. Goes to meetings. And for the first time in years, when he looks at me, I feel like he actually sees me. Then, last week, we were sitting on the couch after the kids were in bed. The TV was off. It was one of those comfortable silences we were finally having again. He turned to me, his face serious, and said, "I need to tell you the complete truth about what happened." My whole body went rigid. I knew this was coming. The sober man was here to clean up the drunk's mess. He looked me straight in the eye. No flinching. No excuses. It wasn't just messages. We had an affair. It turned physical about a year ago. He said it just like that. A flat, factual statement. He explained that it was sporadic, chaotic, and fueled by his drinking. He told me it ended the day he decided to get sober. That it was part of the same poison he had to get out of his system. He answered every question I had with a calm, almost detached honesty. I sat there, listening to the confession I had been waiting 3 years to hear. The rage I expected to feel didn't come. The gut-wrenching sobs didn't happen. I just felt quiet. My mind was trying to reconcile the two versions of this man. The one who lied to my face for years. Who made me feel insane. Who let our family crumble while he chased his addictions. And the one sitting in front of me now. Present. Remorseful. And seemingly transparent. He was finally giving me the truth. But it was 3 years too late and after countless lies. At that moment, I realized my core problem was no longer about the affair itself. I was looking at the man I had always wanted him to be, countable, engaged, sober. But he only exists because the lying, cheating addict existed first. The good man is built on the ashes of the bad one. And I can't seem to separate the two. Every kind gesture now feels like it could be an act of penance. Every moment of connection is shadowed by the question, is this real? Or is this just the next level of his performance? Sugiris my dilemma. I'm living with the best version of my husband I have ever known. But I only have his word that the worst version is gone for good. Addicts are masters of deception. They lie to themselves. They lie to their families. It's a survival skill. What if he's gotten so good at it that he's created this perfect, remorseful persona? Not because he's truly changed, but because it's the most effective way to keep his life from falling apart. Is this sobriety and honesty? Or is it just a long con? For anyone who has been with a partner who got sober after years of betrayal, how do you ever know for sure if the person you see is finally the real them? Can you trust a man who has proven he is capable of deceiving you about everything?